Kimberly, I just saw your text from this afternoon. Are you insane? Are you actually going to get married? I'm sorry, is there some kind of problem with that? It's not like this should be breaking news to you. I told you a while ago that I was seeing a guy and we were pretty seriously thinking about marriage. Don't dodge the issue. You're free to marry whoever you want. I don't care. The problem is the timing. I will not allow you to get married before your brother. Clark, but he doesn't even have a girlfriend right now. Then you'll have to put off your wedding for a year or two, however long it takes for Clark to get married. Once he's married, then you'll have my permission to get married yourself. However long it takes? Are you serious? Besides, every single time Clark has ever started dating a girl, you immediately come between them and force them to break up. Your brother has responsibilities as the heir to our family business. He's going to be the president of the company someday. I can't allow him to marry some rubbish woman from off the street. I won't allow him to marry any woman but one who is genuinely worthy of him. It's my duty as his mother to help him choose a suitable wife. Okay, so when you say however long it takes, what are we talking about? 5 years? 10 years? What? Who knows? However long it takes means however long it takes. All I do know is that you're not allowed to get married until Clark does. I know this probably doesn't matter at all to you, but I've talked to Clark, and he's completely fine with it. Oh my goodness. That Clark is such an angel. I'm sure it must have been so hard for him to say those words to you. He's so kind to be able to consider the feelings of even a pathetic failure like you. But it must have been killing him inside to hear that you were going to get married before him. Your brother's kindness aside, I'm the one who has the final say here, and I say no. That's final.
Hey, Kimberly. I just got off the phone with Mom. Guess you finally told her that you're getting married, huh?
Hey, Clark. Yeah, and just as expected, she was completely against it.
She's so determined that you can't get married before me. Even though the reason it's taken me so long to get married myself is because she keeps getting in the way whenever I find a woman I like.
Yeah, apparently she won't let you marry any woman who is undeserving of being the wife of a company president. Any idea what that means?
In short, it means that she won't let me marry any woman who won't do everything she says, how she says it, when she says.
Good grief, when did our mom become such a stereotypical overbearing mother-in-law? She's the kind of character you see in cheesy soap operas.
Right? My thoughts exactly.
Anyway, we're going ahead with moving the plans for the wedding along with the schedule, regardless of whether Mom approves or not.
Good for you. That's exactly what you should do. Besides, it doesn't matter anyway, since I'm already gonna get married before you.
Yeah. Wow, it's actually really impressive that you've managed to hide your girlfriend from Mom for so long.
I didn't have any choice. I know for certain that she's the only girl in the world for me. She's my soulmate, my life partner. I don't have a life without her in it. I'll do whatever it takes to marry her, no matter what it costs.
Well, I'm glad you found someone like that.
And the same to you.
Thanks.
Oh, by the way, it looks like Dad is finally making his move too.
Yeah, I heard. He's called me the other day to tell me about it. I'll bet there are gonna be a few bumps in the road ahead for us, but I'm 100% sure that there's happiness waiting for us on the other side.
Me too.
Kimberly, you've got some serious explaining to do. What's this I hear about you preparing for your wedding? I made myself very clear that you are not, under any circumstances, allowed to get married before your brother does. What is wrong with you? I am your mother, and you will do as I say. That you would show such disrespect to your own elder brother is disgusting. It's disrespectful to your father and I. It's disrespectful to the entire family. Not to worry, Mom. Everything's going according to plan. Clark will be married by the time my wedding rolls around. What do you mean? Oh, and just so you're not under any false impressions, this isn't happening because I decided I would obey your command about not getting married until Clark does. This is just how it happened to turn out naturally. You're talking nonsense. How can Clark get married? He doesn't even have a girlfriend. I've got a great idea. Why don't you go ahead and ask Clark directly about this instead of hearing it from third person from me? Ask him about what? He's been saying that he'd let you know once everything was in order, so I think he'll probably be fine with talking to you about it if you ask him. I gotta go now. We have a meeting with the wedding planner in a bit. Hold it right there, Kimberly. Talk to you later, Mom.
Hey, Mom. I understand that it's finally time for you and I to have a little talk.
Clark, please, tell me what on earth is going on. Your foul little sister is telling all sorts of bizarre tall tales. Like, that you're getting married. That's ridiculous, isn't it? You don't even have a girlfriend. How could you get married? She couldn't be content with just being a failure of a daughter. She had to become a vile little liar too.
That's one of the things we need to talk about, Mom. I need an answer from you right now. Why'd you call Kimberly a failure? Why'd you treat her like a second-class child? She's pretty successful in her career. She's responsible, a good member of the community. I have no idea why you treat her the way you do, and I want you to tell me.
Why? Isn't it obvious? She never even went to college, and she didn't even go to a decent private high school, just some crummy local public high school.
Are you joking? Mom, you're the one who told her that you wouldn't pay for her to go to a private school. You forced her to go to that public school.
You, on the other hand, truly make me proud to be your mother. You went to the finest prep school in the county, and then to the finest private university in the state. And after graduating, you started working for one of the largest companies in the country. And what's more, you've started your own company that you're now the president of. Honestly, the two of you are so drastically different. It's hard for me to believe that you're even siblings. How could I not call her a failure? That's what she is.
Okay, well, I've had just about all I can take of that conversation, so if it's all right with you, I'll just move along to the next order of business. Mom, I got married.
You what? Oh, Clark, you're something special. Don't worry, you don't have to play along with Kimberly's delusions. We both know she's a compulsive liar. Don't worry at all about what that little failure thinks. You go ahead and take your time to pick the most perfect woman in the entire world as your wife. I'll be here to support you every step of the way.
Will you please listen? I really did get married to the secretary in my office. So no, Kimberly isn't lying about this.
You what? Your secretary? You mean the one with the glasses? The person who came to pick you up to drive you to the airport for your business trip. That secretary.
Yep, that's her.
That was the woman?
I guess I don't blame you for not realizing that. You've only seen her in her work attire. She always wears slacks and a jacket when she's at the office, and hey, she's pretty tall. So there are actually a lot of people like you who think she's a man at first. She may not seem the type, but she actually used to be a professional model in her teens. She's gorgeous. She dresses plainly like that on purpose to keep men from hitting on her and distracting her from work.
I don't believe this. How could you go over my head and pick a woman by yourself, Clark? I do not approve of this, not one bit. How am I supposed to live together in the same house as a woman who dresses like a man? She'll completely ruin the mood of this house.
What are you talking about? We're not going to live together with you.
What?
I've told you before that I'm moving out of the house as soon as I get married. This shouldn't be news to you, and furthermore, you also knew that as soon as me and Kimberly got married, that you were going to move to the new house that Dad's building near where he's living for work right now.
But that place is out in some backwater town. They don't even have a Starbucks.
We talked about this over a long time, and you had accepted that, Mom. You're not going to go back on your promise now, are you? Don't tell me, is this the reason you've been interfering in our love lives for all these years? Have you just been trying to desperately cling to your cosmopolitan lifestyle as long as possible?
No, that's not it at all.
I'll take that as a yes. Moving on.
Clark, can I tell you something?
Nah, not interested. Like I said, moving on. I bet you've already heard this, but Kimberly isn't planning to invite you to her wedding. I think you might want to take some time to do some serious introspection on why that happened, and what you need to do to make it right.
Hello there, Kimberly. Today is your big day, isn't it? I bet you're excited. I prepared a big surprise for you. I hope you'll enjoy it. Well, Kimberly, what did you think of my big surprise? You were surprised, weren't you? Mom, what in the world was that? I was worried you might go and do something stupid, so I did have my guard up. But wearing all black to a wedding? Black hat, black dress, black coat, black shoes, even painted your fingernails and toenails black. Yes, well, getting married to someone like you is practically a funeral, so I came to mourn for your poor, poor husband. And if I'm going to mourn, it only makes sense that I would dress for the occasion. This is what you get for being such a rebellious little brat. Is it really this fun for you to do everything in your power to sabotage your own daughter's wedding? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Your brother betrayed me and married a woman without my permission. And once you get married, I'm going to have to move away from a civilized society to live around a bunch of backwards country bumpkins who probably can't even spell the word university. Is that really all? I like living in the city, don't you get it? And now that I've brought your wedding to a halt, you're not getting married anymore. You'll be single forever. I'll see to that personally. Oh, and one other thing. Now that your brother has moved out, I'll need you to move in and take over for him. Without him around, this house is turning into a real mess, so you'll need to get ready to move as soon as possible. You are really oblivious, aren't you, Mom? We've been legally married for some time now. What? My husband and I were officially married just about a month ago after Clark got married. And I'm currently enjoying the newlywed life with my husband right now, so I'm afraid I don't really feel much like moving in with you. You what? And besides, the wedding is still on. No, that can't be. Well, to be more precise, the reception is still on, and it's going to start soon. Fortunately, there are no other parties who booked the reception hall today. We talked to the manager, explained the situation, and he's willing to give us a few hours extra for no charge. What a generous guy. I thought for sure it would have been cancelled. Once again, fortunately, we only planned a small wedding for the family members and close friends. They're all being very understanding, and they had no problems with continuing the ceremony right where we left off. I won't let that happen. I'm going to barge right through the doors of that reception hall and give you another piece of my mind. Mom, really? Are you 12? You're such a child. Excuse me? We requested additional security staff from the venue, so no, you're not getting into the reception. Don't even bother. You can go home now. You're no longer needed here. How dare you? You're kicking your own mother out of your own wedding? Do you actually think you're in any position to be acting so indignant right now? And not to mention, aren't you forgetting the position you're putting Clark in? What? What position? I could have sworn I told you about this. Maybe you just weren't paying attention. My husband's father is the president of the company that just so happens to be the single largest client of Clark's company. He is? I've explained our family circumstances to him, so he also had an idea you might be up to something. But to have the mother of the president of the company he pays millions of dollars to every year storm into the wedding of his own son, makes a massive scene, disturbs all the guests, and deliberately try to shut down the wedding? You have to understand, he's furious right now. Thanks to you, Clark was basically on his knees begging for his forgiveness for about 20 minutes straight. It was the most fervent apology I've ever seen. And you know who was right there alongside him? Dad. In the end, it was my husband who was finally able to calm him down. And after I explained in greater detail what kind of nutjob you are, his anger actually turned into sympathy for us. Do you have the slightest bit of remorse for almost single-handedly destroying your son's company? I had no idea. Plus, you can stop pretending. I know the real reason you don't want to leave the city. And honestly, I have to say, it makes me ashamed to be your daughter. Kimberly, please, you've got to do something. Talk to your father for me. He's going to divorce me. Can you believe it? If you could just talk to your father and explain how this is really all your fault for disobeying me, I'm sure he'll understand. So you've got to call him right away, okay? Kimberly, answer me this instant. Your disgraceful behavior has ruined my reputation. Now everyone has turned against me. All of our family, my friends, even your brother. And it's all your fault. You need to fix what you did. Kimberly, pick up the phone. What an embarrassing display. Really, she just refuses to see reason. I bet she didn't even finish the conversation with my dad before she started bombarding me with texts and calls. Somehow she's under the impression that it was what happened at the wedding that caused Dad to divorce her. But that's not actually the case. You see, my dad hired a private detective to look into Mom's activities. He was perplexed by how desperate my mom was to stay in the city, even going so far as to work overtime to prevent me and Clark from getting married. And what he discovered was that Mom was having an affair, or at least she was trying to. There's a man in one of her exercise classes who she's been flirting with non-stop for the last 5 years or so, but he hasn't been responding to her advances. It got to the point that she practically stalking him, and it seemed he finally had enough of her nonsense because he got a restraining order against her. So Mom ended up being divorced by her husband, disowned by her 2 children, and unceremoniously dumped by the man she had been pining after for 5 years. I guess Mom got her wish after all. Now she gets to spend the rest of her life in the city, although now she'll be doing it alone, in a quiet, rundown apartment on the bad side of town.